Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the RickCast. I'm the aforementioned Rick, and in a sea of vapid and pointless podcasts, I think you might be watching another one. It is the 11th of February, 2025, in the year of our Lord. If I'm reaching over here, it's because I got my dog with me tonight, and she constantly needs affection, or she'll cry throughout this entire show. So that's my explanation for the weird the whole time. So that's just me having to do that. But otherwise, besides that, I got a great show lined up for you tonight. We're going to be talking about Trump doubling down on his idea that he wants to take Gaza. The Fed, apparently all the Fed secrets are coming out. We're going to be talking about all kinds of conspiracy theories. So either this is the greatest day of Alex Jones's life or the worst day, depending on who you are, or if you're Alex Jones himself, or if he even cares anymore. I don't know. Then we're going to talk about Alec Baldwin's new TLC show, because everybody likes a good redemption arc, right? Vivek is going through his redemption arc right now. 6 weeks ago, he was telling everybody that you need to look up to Screech. Now he's talking about how everybody needs to take like physical tests and gym and all this stuff. And he's paying podcasters to try and get him on his show, to get him some good press. By the way, I'm always here, Vivek, if you want to pay me. And then, so it looks like this is the redemption arc that the Baldwin team has decided is going to be the best way to do it, to try and showcase his family life, and not the fact that the guy shot somebody with a prop gun deliberately, allegedly. And maybe they're going to try and find a way to fix it from there. And then finally, seems like there is a very interesting story in the NBA. In the NBA does not have interesting stories, so that's why this is almost groundbreaking at this point, because the Dallas Mavericks, yes, the Dallas Mavericks are in the middle of this weird thing. A couple weeks ago, they traded Luka Doncic. If you don't know, he's a very good basketball player. They traded him to the Lakers, and they got a so good basketball player back. But it's not even about that. It's not even about that. It's about this weird, like, Yellowstone / landman type plot by the ownership of the Dallas Mavericks, where they want to try and get legalized gambling in the state of Texas because they bought all the land that the old Cowboy Stadium was on in Irving. And so they're trying to make the team stink so that way they can, it's crazy. So they have a fan revolt on their hands right now in Dallas because they're not very happy with the way the team is going. And it's crazy to watch this in real time, because at first the Texas legislature said, no, we're not going to do sports betting. We're not going to do gambling in the state of Texas. You can go to Choctaw, which is in Oklahoma, if you really want to do that. And then they traded Luka. And then there started to be kind of like this backroom dealing where, hey, we're going to make the Mavericks, essentially be terrible for a couple of years. And then we're going to move them somewhere else, maybe Las Vegas, maybe somewhere else. So that way we don't have to deal with all this crap here. Greg Abbott has come out and said, hey, he thinks sports gambling should be legal now in Texas. That's a little weird. That's a little weird, but not unexpected to see how this whole thing is falling apart. And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's going to be our 4 stories tonight. I'm going to have one hot take. It's going to be about Doge being officially recognized, and Trump and Elon had a big ceremony in the Oval Office not too long ago. And we're gonna get on out of here. I don't know if it's going around, like there's a little bit of a bug going around, but I was a little lightheaded all day. Not a huge deal. I'm just saying if the show is a little quicker than normal, I might not be feeling the best. But that doesn't matter, because we do this show for you every night at 6 p.m. Central Time. All right, folks, let's get into it right away. Our first story of the day. Let's talk about Doge, because Doge is everywhere, and that's what everybody wants to talk about. And that's the thing that's making the old liberals' heads blow up. So let's get to it right now, talking about the executive order that was just signed. This is it. The establishing and implementing the President's Department of Government Efficiency by executive order. Now, this is pretty much the reasserting of this by the authority vested in me as president. by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, hereby ordered. And then he talks about Doge. The reason why is because he's getting a lot of flack right now as far as Doge being constitutional. Is it law-abiding? How much power does Elon have? All of these things that are going around, what's happening here, there, and everywhere with this. And the idea is very simple. Making sure that Doge is up to snuff as far as having all of the necessary authority that they have under the executive branch. And of course, Elon and Trump being in the same room had no problem talking about it today.
At a high level, if you say, what is the goal of Doge, and I think a significant part of this of presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, we would have to, if you sorry. So, tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, or if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy, we live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the president, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large unelected bureaucracy. This is not to say that there are good people who are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy. You have to have one that is responsive to the people. That's the whole point of a democracy. And if you looked at this, if you looked at the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want, and it does not match the will of the people. So it's just something we've got to fix. And then we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit, and if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. I mean, it's really astounding that the interest payments alone on the national debt exceed the Defense Department budget, which is shocking because we spend a lot of money on defense, and if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country, and it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about 30 million?
So he's going through, it's a 9-minute video. We're not going to watch all 9 minutes. We're going to end up after this, but they kind of had this impromptu meeting, kind of giving an explanation for those of you who are listening, about what Doge is, what they're trying to do, and some of the things that they've uncovered.
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened at USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it.
We're going to end there. There's videos of it all over the place, but they're trying to push back against a narrative that Doge is just kind of doing these fake things, or it's all for show. It's a puppet theater, or whatever you want to call it. And the fact of the matter is it is looking into wasteful spending. And we can talk about taxes all you want, and how, this company doesn't pay taxes and that company doesn't pay taxes. But the fact of the matter is, you could charge $1 gazillion to Tesla in taxes if you're spending 500 million over here and 100 million over here and XYZ amount of money over there on useless stuff that does nothing for the American people. Then you will see that the taxes argument doesn't make any sense, because you could tax more, but if you're blowing all of it on projects that don't impact the American people, then you need to cut them, especially with the amount of debt that is being accrued right now. So it's a very interesting thing to see go on, especially with the fact that there's a lot of pushback going on right now. There was some very sparsely populated protests that happened earlier in the day. It's kind of funny, when that USAID money's not around, those protests aren't as packed. When you can't pay for the buses to get the people there, when you can't pay for the people to get to these places, all of a sudden they're not as impactful, these protests, than anything else. So there you go on that. Real quick, that's what's going on as far as the Doge front. I guess we're going to have like a Doge segment period, because something's happening every single day with Doge. But let's get to our second story of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Here on RickCast, like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell, help this show grow. If you're on the X machine, hit that follow button, retweet it for a larger sample size. If you are on Rumble, because Rumble is apparently the place to be, Timcast just announced today that they are going on Rumble they're going hardcore into Rumble, so it's good to see them here as well. So hopefully Rumble will pick up more traction. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I would love there being a point in time where I don't have to be on YouTube anymore. YouTube, anybody and everybody's on YouTube right now, because they're the one paying out money. That's it. They are one of the worst when it comes to freedom restrictions and censorship and all these other things, as opposed to something like Rumble, which is not. And I would love to be on Rumble when it comes to being there full time, because they are much more of a free speech platform than anything YouTube can. I would say Rumble's better than even the platform X when it comes to free speech. So it's good to see Timcast being on there, and hopefully we can build up our audience. We got like 35 people on Rumble right now, which in YouTube terms is like over 100 compared to the amount of people that are actually on the Rumble website. So hopefully Tim brings an influx of people to the platform, and then they'll discover a bunch of other shows and follow them, and the rising tide will lift all boats in that regard. But let's get to our first official story of the day, and that's going to be, get over here, over there. Trump is doubling down on the Gaza statement, because when he said it, we all kind of went, "Oh, what? What's going on here?" Trump's actually going to take Gaza. They want to just own Gaza. That's not great. Now, the memes were fantastic in regards to, oh, look, we're going to put a Buc-ee's here and a Texas Roadhouse there and a Walmart over here. But the actual cost of going into Gaza is mind-numbingly terrible. And this is an absolutely terrible, even just floating the idea is a terrible move on Trump's part. 100%. Huge loss in this regard. Should not be doing it. Absolutely stupid. And I don't mind calling, because I'm not a Trump or Elon sycophant. Trump doubles down on controversial Gaza plan. Jordan's king, rejects Palestinian displacement. So President Trump met with King Abdullah II of Jordan on Tuesday, where he doubled down on a controversial proposal for the U.S. to take over the Gaza Strip amid pressure he's putting on neighboring Arab countries to absorb its population. Although it is interesting that the day after Trump mentioned that, the Israelis were like, Spain and Ireland, you got to take the Palestinians, which was kind of weird that they picked those two countries. but I digress. The president and the king fielded some questions from reporters from the Oval Office, where Abdullah tried to slow roll Trump's Gaza proposal, which was vastly unpopular in the Middle East. Outside of the MAGA sycophants, it's drastically unpopular and vastly unpopular here as well. So it's not a great look on Donnie's part for this. I'm not gonna lie. There were some other things like the new jab, the whatever it's called that they announced on day 2, the AI jab that or whatever for that Warp Speed 2.0 essentially, and then this. Those have been his 2 biggest mess ups. Trump, meanwhile, vowed to press on, but also lauded to Abdullah and his pledge to take 2,006 Palestinian children. In case you don't know what we're talking about, here's the first one, and then we'll get to we'll do Trump doubling down on Gaza, and then King Abdullah pledging to take 2,000 children.
You said before that the U.S. would buy Gaza, and today you just said we're not going to buy Gaza.
We're not going to have to buy. We're going to have Gaza. We don't have to buy. There's nothing to buy. We will have Gaza.
What does that mean?
No reason to buy. There is nothing to buy. It's Gaza. It's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to get it going eventually.
Who, Donnie? Who's going to hold it? Who's going to cherish it? There better not be one U.S. There are U.S. troops in the Middle East, but there better not be one U.S. troop in the Gaza Strip. Not one pair of U.S. boots should be in the Gaza Strip. We don't need to be there. This is not an America First policy. So, no, bad Trump.
Where a lot of jobs are going to be created for the people in the Middle East. It's going to be for the people in the Middle East, but I think it can be a diamond. It can be an absolute tremendous asset for the Middle East. And you're going to have peace. It's going to bring peace in the Middle East. Gaza, the way it is right now, every 10 years, you're going to have the same thing happening. I've watched it so long, all the death and destruction of Gaza. The civilization's been wiped out in Gaza. No, it's going to be a tremendous thing. It's fronting on the sea. It's going to be a great economic development job. It's going to put people to work, a lot of people to work. And those people are all going to be from the Middle East.
Trump's looking at this like a real estate guy. No, Jared, I don't care what your son Jared Kushner wants to do in reestablishing like the Gaza Strip, condominium association. This is absolutely terrible. And it's just absolutely ridiculous that he's doubling down on that. That just shows you that when people talk about, the use and their influence over public policy and all that stuff, they do have some influence, because what president in their right mind would ever say this and in fact double down on it so poorly? But so that was the first part where he said he was going to take Gaza. We're going to take it. And Marco Rubio's in the corner like, what are you talking about, dude? Can I at least not be in the room when you do it? And then he moved on to King Abdullah taking the 2,000 apparently sick Palestinian children.
In the Palestinian people. He's made clear he doesn't want to.
Well, I don't know, but he may have just something to say, because we discussed just briefly. I think maybe you want to say it now, or?
Well, Mr. President, I think we have to keep in mind that there is a plan from Egypt and the Arab countries. We're being invited by Mohammed bin Salman to discussions in Riyadh. I think the point is how do we make this work in a way that is good for everybody? Right. Obviously, we have to look at the best interests of the United States, of the people in the region, especially to my people of Jordan. And we're going to have some interesting discussions today. I think one of the things that we can do right away is take 2,000 children that are either cancer children or in a very ill state to Jordan as quickly as possible, and then wait for, I think, the Egyptians to present their plan on how we can work with the president to work on the Gaza challenges.
And we'll be working on the rest with Egypt. I think you're going to see some great progress. I think with Jordan, you're going to see some great progress. There's 3 of us, and we'll have some others helping, and we're going to have some others at a very high level helping, and the whole thing will come. It's not a complex thing to do. And with the United States being in control of that piece of land, a fairly large piece of land, you're going to have stability in the Middle East for the first time. And the Palestinians, or the people that live now in Gaza, will be living beautifully in another location. They're going to be living safely. They're not going to be killed, murdered, and having to leave every 10 years, because I've been watching this for
Yeah, we got it, Trump. Thanks. What about the Palestinian Christians, my fellow Catholics and Christians? What do you mean that you're just going to rip them out and throw them? What's going to happen to Bethlehem? Right? What's going to happen to these places? Are you going to bowl over where our Lord and Savior was born so you could put up a Texas Roadhouse? Maybe a Dave and Buster's? Like what's going on with that? This is absolutely ridiculous. It is a terrible thought process. And something that will define all the other stuff that you and I, the conservative side, the rights, the people on the political right, found so appealing about his first couple days. Oh, look at these executive orders. Oh, look, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing all this. Will be all undermined if he messes this up and decides to nation build, which this is nation building. Remember, we didn't like George W. Watch me hit this drive. We didn't like it when W was nation building. We didn't like it when Obama was destroying Libya, and now Libya is the slave capital of the world, where slavery is traded freely there, and it's an absolute wreck. We didn't like that taking place. Now we're going to go in and we're going to get rid of all of these people, and they're going to go to another beautiful, what? You're going to build them, you're going to put them on Morocco, you're going to put them over in Madagascar. What are you talking about? So it's just absolutely terrible to see this being done with the just awful advisement. Whoever's telling Trump to do this is just absolutely foolish. You're watching RickCast. I'm the aforementioned Rick. If I asked who Christian Wagner is, would that answer the question? I don't know who Christian Wagner is. They sound like a great person, but no, I have not. And I don't know what I would talk to them about. I'm happy to talk to anybody about anything. So yeah, whoever that is, they sound like a great person, and maybe I'll talk to him someday. A lot of people don't like talking to me. This channel is a rogue news outlet channel for a reason. I call it rogue, but that's because not very many people want to talk to me about stuff, and that's fine, because there are narratives people have to there's a narrative people have to exist in, and I don't like narratives, and I don't like being pigeonholed. So I kind of just talk however I want. And a lot of people don't like that. So I'm glad you're hanging out with me, though. That's all that really matters, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to our next story of the day. Let's see. This one is actually kind of funny. So let's take a look at it. Not you. You're out of here. These videos, you're gone. Bad Trump. Bad Trump. Not great. Not good. I know, Mark. I know. I'm not trying to knock myself down. I'm saying, like, when you take a 10,000 foot view, the way you become successful on these platforms is you kind of find your niche, and that's either like Trump is great, or Trump is terrible, or I'm a trad cat, or I hate the Pope, or I don't clip that out, or I do this, or you have to have like an official stance and make that your brand. I don't have that, because I don't believe any of that stuff. So, you know what I mean? I'm not a Trumper, not an anti-Trumper. I mean, I guess the only one I would say is, I'm like, the only thing you could put me in like a niche is like guns. I'm not a 2A absolutes, but I'm a big, that would be like my niche. This is kind of just the bar rats hanging out and talking about stuff at the end of the day. Yeah. We're all just kind of hanging out. So that's great. So let's get to our second story of the day, which all the conspiracy nuts are either really happy or really sad. They'll be very happy for a little bit because all this stuff will give them content. But the things they've been talking about for the last, 50 years, if there's even anything there, will be kind of gone. It'll disappear at a moment's notice. But let's take a look at this. And I don't know about you, but I'm getting real tired of Representative Anna Paulina Luna. Can she go away? I know all the thirsty Republican guys are like, she's so hot, man. She's married and she's a mom. Can you relax? Can you all just calm down for 5 seconds and stop being so thirsty? Oh, yeah. Her and Nancy Mace, you guys can't shut up about these two. Like, just stop. Anyway, more Representative Anna Paulina Luna believes there were 2 shooters in the JFK assassination as GOP rep leads a task force probing, quote unquote, federal secrets. Grassy knoll confirmed, sucker. I don't know. I actually think there's this guy who wrote a book called Mortal Error, and he proposed that the JFK assassination actually was an assassination. What had happened was that apparently the Secret Service detail that usually covered JFK got absolutely wasted at the Hilton in Fort Worth the night before, and they were out of action. Like they just got off the shelf drunk. And so they had to bring in the B team that didn't have a lot of experience. And as they were trailing JFK, they heard a shot, a backfire of a car, something. And one of the new guys in the new Secret Service detail, he picked up the AR-15. He didn't have a lot of experience with it. And he put his finger on the trigger, which is why you don't do that. It's one of our 4 universal gun safety rules. And as they sped away, he jerked the trigger, and that's what blew JFK's head off. That's what that guy said. I tend to believe that. The book's called Mortal Error, but that's my belief of the JFK assassination, among other things. I have opinions on everything. I actually think the RMS Titanic wasn't the Titanic. It was actually the Olympic that they sunk. But anyway, that's another story for another day, which we will not find out in this cornucopia of information. The task force, which will also provide PDF file Jeffrey Epstein's client list, which Cheeto face Glenn Beck is running around telling everybody that he's going to go see this. Well, guys, let me get on a chalkboard and tell you why the Epstein list is coming out soon. Shut up, Glenn Beck. Anybody who takes Glenn Beck seriously, I have a hard time with. Anyway, intends to build upon the Trump administration's effort to declassify records related to the JFK assassination. Former New York Senator Robert F. Kennedy and civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., which you're going to find the FBI killed him. And then we'll start with a thorough investigation of JFK's November 1963 shooting in Dallas, Texas. Take a listen.
Has been dimmed by a veil of secrecy, by a government that has grown too comfortable in the shadows, denying us the transparency we deserve. But today, we stand at the dawn of a new era where the light of truth begins to shine through. A few weeks ago, President Donald Trump made a historic announcement. With the stroke of a pen, he committed to declassifying the files concerning the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a decision not just monumental, but pivotal. It is with profound honor that I have been entrusted by Speaker Mike Johnson and Chairman James Comer to lead the House Oversight Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets. Together with the help of the White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files.
Dude, are we talking to like Sequest, DSV? Anybody ever remember that show? Like unidentified underwater? Man, that'd be awesome. Now I'm starting to sound like Jones. Can you believe it?
This task force will be a beacon of bipartisanship. On the Republican side, Representatives Burchett, Boebert, Burleson, Crane, Gill, and Mace will be joining me, although I'd like to note that I'm expanding this to the entire governing body and will be allowing certain members to waive on. Our first hearing is set for March. The date will be announced soon, and we've already initiated close to a dozen communications with various agencies, to include Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice and the Secretary of State. This will no longer be a task force that makes bold promises only to fade into irrelevance or send strongly worded letters. This will be a relentless pursuit of truth and transparency, and we will not stop until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through.
Hold on, let's be real. This is, and you're not going to hear this anywhere else, this is the greatest distraction operation for the next 4 years. Think about it. Every time Trump gets in hot water, if something bad goes in his, something goes down in his Gaza expansion plan with the next Trump hotel there, they'll just be like, oh, look, we just released another bunch of classified documents. Look over here. Look over here. Woo! This is the greatest squirrel chasing operation. And if you can't see that, if you can't understand that this is nothing more than smoke and mirrors to keep you distracted while they do whatever they want, I will say, as an adopted Southerner, bless your heart.
The bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American people finally get the truth that they have been denied for too long. If we are to endure and thrive as a nation, we must
All right, I'm done. I'm done with you. Get out of here. Anyway, speaking of Cheeto Face, what did he have to say as far as the him running around? I want to play this just so when it doesn't come true, I just want to laugh at it.
About is the scandal.
By the way, being on Patrick Bet David, another clown, Patrick Bet David, who made his money in pyramid schemes. The whole conservative movement, 99% of the conservative influencers and people where you get your information, they're nothing but clowns and paid shills. All of them, most of them.
Of the pedophiles, and in the next 10 days, you're going to see the Epstein file released.
In the next 10 days.
All right, it's February 11th. He's saying by February 21st, we're going to see the Epstein list. Let's all mark that down, and when it doesn't happen, we can all make fun of him.
10 days.
Oh, please.
More than we do.
You think in the next 10 days the whole
Drake.
thing's going to be released?
Yeah.
And what kind of information you have to be able to be that certain about it?
What kind of information? Shut up, Patrick Bet David.
I plead the fifth.
In the next 10 days.
Next 10 days.
Oh,
Glenn,
please.
Yeah.
stop it.
Next 10 days.
You're
I'm telling
teasing millions who want that list.
Day number 1, Kash Patel walks in. By the end of the day, it will be released.
Oh, please. Did Kash Patel get confirmed yet?
Not yet. They
Not
delayed
yet.
it.
Did RFK get confirmed yet?
Not yet.
Tulsi?
None of them, though.
House, not Senate. Yeah.
So
All
as
right.
soon as he's confirmed, his first day, it will be released.
Oh, I can't wait.
I can't wait till this is not correct. And then Glenn's probably going to cry and stuff his face in some Cheetos and then tell you to buy 5 more Blaze subscriptions to try and cover it. But I can't stand these people. Yeah. You know what's going to happen? I wish I had prepped better. You're going to get the list. It's going to say the Epstein client list, and you're going to open up, and it's going to be 300 blank pages. It's going to be 300 blank pages, or it's going to have so much ink on it. They probably murdered 15 trees to get it. I don't know where you get ink from, but whatever. Somebody tell me where you get ink from. Let me know in the comment section down below. Because I don't actually. Is it from a horse? I don't know. Whatever. I just use it. But this is just distraction. That's all this is, man. It's all about transparency, making sure they. No, it's about we could throw this out on X and everybody will chase it for 4 days. And then while we're doing that, we're gonna unload some more jab stories or ink is a petroleum product. Oh, very interesting. Thank you, Mark. By the way, Mark, you weren't here on time, so I almost messed up the date. You're my date guy. That came out wrong. You're the guy who gives me the dates. That's just not a really easy thing. Anyway, distractions. That's all this is. It's distractions. People are like, wow, I can't believe that they're going to give us the answers on JFK. They're going to release like 1 page a day for a month. And you people are going to chase it. And we might cover it on this show because, hey, even I got to mine the internet for stories. Okay. We all got stuff we got to talk about. You get ink from an octopus. Interesting. Maybe can we declassify that information so I can find it? Oh, you know what? Even if you watch your show to watch me make a fool out of myself, I don't mind entertaining you people. It's fun. It's all false flags. You might as well call this Operation False Flag because that's all it is. That's all it is, man. It's just like, hey, look, hey kids. Oh, I know this whole thing crashed out or whatever. Look, JFK, wee. Jurassic Park with the big fire, with the road marker. Woo, go this way, and then we'll all chase it like a bunch of morons. Because that's all they think of you. They think we're all just stupid. Most people are, but that's. I just had to bring that up because people are celebrating this as some kind of victory, And it is absolutely not a victory. It's foolish and kind of bad. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is RickCast. I am the aforementioned Rick. Like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell. Help the show continue to grow. I appreciate everybody watching. I really do, because if you guys weren't here, I would just be kind of talking to myself even more than I kind of am. I'm just in a room by myself talking. Well, my dog's here, but she's asleep finally. But thank you guys for being here, and let me talk to you tonight on the 11th of February, 2025. All right, let's get to our third story of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Alec Baldwin, and Hilaria Baldwin share why they decided to star in their own reality show. I'll tell you why. It's called a redemption arc. It's a redemption arc. That's what this is. Alec Baldwin, his reputation is in the toilet, deservedly so, because he's always been kind of a jerk, but he was a decent enough actor, especially when he was young. You had The Hunt for Red October, you had the his famous Coffees for Closer scene, and a bunch of others. And then, he transitioned in, 30 Rock, and he did the Mission Impossible movies. He was always kind of just like around. He was always very reliable. And then he shot some lady. He shot the director he shot a crew member on the set of the movie Rust, which I think is still coming out. I think they actually finished wrapping. They're going to actually put the film out because they got to make their money somehow. And, of course, people will rent it and watch it because, we have this morbid curiosity about stuff. So in the entertainment industry, and even in political and life in general, and any of these public figures, they have redemption arcs, PR teams, right? Crisis management teams, whatever you want to call them. And so what happens is, hey, we'll sit. You got to lay low for a little bit. Let this kind of blow over, and then we'll reset the deck. You kind of saw Vivek Ramaswamy speed run this, right? On Christmas Day, he said his dumb stuff about how much he hates Americans. Then he kind of went away for 10 days, and then he kind of showed back up on the inauguration day. He didn't really say much. Now he's doing the podcast circuit. He's paying podcasters, at least that's what some other podcasters have asserted, to go on their shows and kind of get his reputation back. It's not going to work, but he's trying his what we call redemption arc. Alec Baldwin, since his was much worse, i.e., shooting and killing shooting one person, killing one person, and mortally wounding another, had to lay a little bit, had to go through the trials and had to go through all this other stuff. And once that all blew over, then they had to give themselves a little bit more time. And now they've decided that they're going to try and rehabilitate their image via the reality show route. It's actually not a terrible idea. Simply because reality shows, as we all know, are not reality. They're very scripted and they're very controlled. And I guarantee you, Alec Baldwin is producing it and has his greedy little paws all over it to create a specific narrative. Now they'll address the allegate, the trial and the shooting, and they'll make him try to look like a sympathetic figure, and they'll try to make him look like a great dad, even though he's famous for calling up his daughter and calling her a pig. We all don't forget that. Or maybe we do. If you don't, he called up and left his daughter a voicemail from his first wife, I think Kim Basinger, and called her a fat pig and all this other stuff. But that's neither here nor there. But he's going to try and soften her image with these kids and his wife. He's going to look like a great dad and a great husband and father, blah, blah, blah. They're going to paint this whole thing as best they can. I don't even need to read you the story, but I'll give you a little bit of background anyway. Nope. So, according, another famous family is coming to reality TV. According to Mrs. Baldwin, telling your story is one thing and showing your story is something else. Wow, I hope somebody wrote that for you. She told People in Tuesday, February 11th cover story about her and her husband, Alec Baldwin's upcoming series, creatively titled The Baldwins. It felt authentic. It felt human. It felt empowering. God, gag me with a spoon already. Cut my heart out with a spoon. Rest in peace. But like Alan Rickman, man, rest in peace, man. That was an actor. But the fact of the matter is, how does anybody believe that? And there are people that people who are not clued in on how these things work. And that's not because they're ignorant. It's just that they don't care to pay attention, right? They don't care to pay attention about how reality shows work. My wife and I back in the day, we used to love watching The Bachelor, not because we knew it was real, because we love to see how stupid, all these things are. I'm pretty sure one of my wife's favorite, I'll call her characters on The Bachelor, was Ashley I. She loved Ashley I because Ashley I would cry about anything. And that was her thing. And she liked it because she was in love with one of the boys on The Bachelorette or whatever, and he was from Rhode Island, and since I'm from Rhode Island, she just thought that was very cute. But like Ashley I, she cried all the time. They all have characters, they all have little arcs, and they all have their things that they do, and they shoot hundreds of hours of film, and some editor that gets paid probably way too little sits in front of it, and the editor is the one who creates the entire narrative. That's the thing people don't realize. You talk about producers, you talk about directors, you talk about actors. The people that never get talked about, whether it's reality shows, regular TV shows, or movies, is a good editor. The idea that the editor gets all this mountains of footage, just tons of footage, and then they have to go through all of it and then cut it up to make a story. And that's what they're doing. They're not doing anything else but creating a story, and that's what's happening here. One of the last Family Guy episodes I watched was when Brian went on one of those, and he actually fell for it. And then the girl was like, "Oh yeah, this was fun, bye," and left. He's like, "What happened?" She's like, "Oh no, I was doing this for another TV gig." But for Alec, 66. Some of these don't want to play with me. Filming all right, we'll just do this. Filming a reality TV show meant getting to work without missing anything at home. See, do you see how this narrative is being crafted? He's so dedicated to his family that he could do this project without missing any time from home, without missing any precious time with his family. And I'll tell you, if the incident didn't happen, he would be on another movie set right now. All right, fatty, get out of here. Let's see. Yeah, we did the show because it's in place of doing a movie or a play, which I'm sure Alec Baldwin is not getting a ton of offers for right now. Now, Lou, first of all, Lou, your review showed up on Amazon, so thank you. My book, The Armed Cat, The Case for Guns and Self-Defense, which you can get on Amazon.com. But secondly, these reality shows are cheap. They are so cheap, and they're actually born out of the writer's strike of like 2012 or 2011, in the early 2000s, not the latest one, but the one in early 2000s. Because the writers went on strike and the written TV shows went out, these cable companies, these channels, they needed programming. So reality shows were cheap. You didn't need to hire actors. You could just throw people out there and you can give them a script. And they're still relatively, if you look at a sitcom or a drama, like Chicago Fire or ER or whatever the case may be, or Scrubs, those are expensive because you got to build sets and you got to do all this other stuff. You got to pay the actors scale and you got to give them time and blah, 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 blah. Reality shows, you just go to like an island and you put 10 people out there and you're like, all right, you guys just kind of roam around and do things and we'll film it and then we'll craft a story. And if we want you to do something, we'll throw it in, we'll give you an earpiece and be like, all right, go talk to that guy. All right, go tell him this. And then it's so cheap to produce in regards to scripted shows. That's why there's still a thing, because you got so many channels you got to fill up and go on from there. Yes, Jessica Simpson famously tried to rehabilitate her image on a reality TV show, and that's where we got the famous Chicken of the Sea. It says Chicken of the Sea. He's like, no, that doesn't mean it. That means her chicken. That was the worst thing that could have happened to her. Blah, 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 blah. So he says, am I going to be away from my kids 5 nights out of the week until 11 o'clock at night? For me, work-related things aren't that critical anymore. Yeah, it's probably because you're not getting the roles, big guy. I thought, I get to spend time with my family. This is so gross. I think I am going to get sick. This is so saccharine. I think I just got diabetes reading that. But do you see the narrative? Can you see what I'm trying to show you? The narrative through this narrative through line that's going on with this idea that, oh, my family is so important now. I used to be I'm sorry if your kids are listening, earmuffs. I used to be a raging asshole, but now ever since I shot and killed a lady, now I'm much more sentimental and I have to be around with my family. Like the humble brag, I could be out till 11 o'clock 5 days a week, but I didn't want to do that. Oh, wow. So you're such a knight in waiting that you want to be that you actually choose to be a husband and a father. Woo! Husband of the year right there, homies. We should all be like him. Anyway, Hilaria even revealed, whatever. She offered to sign a prenup before marrying Alec in 2012. I said I would. Does she have an accent? I think she pretended for a while too, and then they were like, "Yeah, no, she doesn't have an accent." I would sign a prenup, and then you're like, "Okay, we don't have to." And then after you shot that lady, he was like, "Man, I wish I signed a prenup." No offense to the lady who died. Eternal rest grant unto her, Lord, and that perpetual light shine upon her. May she rest in peace. I'm talking about the Baldwin, not her. The couple also addressed the onset shooting. This is why people are going to watch this stupid show right here. That's the hook. Nobody cares about the Baldwin's dinner schedule. Nobody cares oh, look, the Baldwins bought a new car. The only intrigue surrounding this show is the fact that he shot a person and killed him. So of course they have to tease. They even addressed the on-set shooting that was at the center of the 2021 controversy. Alec was holding I'm not going to let you try to recreate that. You shot a lady because you didn't practice the 4 universal gun safety rules. Always treat a gun as if it's loaded. Never point at anybody or anything you don't want to destroy. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire, and always know what's behind your target. You violated all 4 of those rules and somebody died because of it. That's what happened. The judge dismissed the trial because he's an actor. If it was anybody else, that person would be in jail. It was an opportunity for us to actually speak. It was a really safe space. You're in my safe space. Hilaria, whatever, said of filming during that time. And I think it was also very cathartic, almost like a diary, a very well scripted diary that you could control during a very unsure time of our life. You have to actually hold up and think about this for a moment. I'm going to get rid of this smut at the bottom. You have to, let's all take a step back and think about this. And very few people are going to break this down like I do, because thanks to my social media manager, I now break down episode stuff from Us Magazine. But actually, ironically enough, the Blake Lively things actually get more interesting. Back to this. Think about this. These people were in the middle of a trial. They were in the middle of a trial that could have determined whether this guy was going to go to prison. And they thought, we should do a reality show. They probably didn't think it. Whoever did, came up to him and said, "Hey, y'all want some money for a reality show right now?" And they said, what did they say? They were given an opportunity to make some cash. And they said,
"Daddy, someone set a fire in your car because you took too long and I got bored. Money, please."
Oh, no, there's no money.
Oh, my bad. No problem.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. I'll just destroy this office.
Hey!
Money, please. Money, please.
Ben, give her some money. It's easier.
So that's what happened there. But they were like, "Hey, y'all want some money?" And they went, "Money, please." Yeah, we'll totally talk about the darkest time of our life if you're going to pay us. Think about that. The dude was on trial for killing a woman, and they said, this is the perfect time to do a reality show. These people, boop, they're nuts. They're crazy. And they will do whatever it takes to keep themselves famous. That's simple. So I don't think, and you can tell by my reaction, I actually don't think this show will go down as well as they think. Because most people are not going to not going to react well to it. They'll watch up to the time the trial is, which means they're going to space these episodes out till the Russ stuff will be the very like last 5 episodes of this season. So you have to watch all this junk. And then people are going to watch it and go, wow, that was actually pretty terrible. Like we mentioned Jessica Simpson. She did not do well with her reality show. The Osbournes, they did fine at first, but then look what kind of happened to them. Hulk Hogan had a reality show. Remember that? And then unfortunately, his son got into a drag racing accident, which killed a person. Most of these reality shows they don't go down the way people hope they do. But that is the chasing of an idol of fame and fortune. And it's doesn't work out well for a lot of people. All right, so folks, this is RickCast. I am the aforementioned Rick. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell to be notified when this show begins every night, 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. And I appreciate everybody in the comment section. If you're on YouTube, pound that like button. If you're on Rumble, smash that like button. If you're on X, hit that follow button and retweet it so we can get a larger sample size. And we can continue to grow this program. All right, last story of the night. Here we go. So I don't cover sports ball. I don't. I'm not really like big into it anymore. I've explained it time and time and time again. But this story coming out of Dallas is actually fairly intriguing because of what has happened with it. So a couple weeks ago, there's a basketball player on the Dallas Mavericks. His name is Luka Doncic. He's very good. He was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for a so-so good player named Anthony Davis. He was a little older. He's injury prone. Who cares? They get traded. Anthony Davis gets hurt, and now the Dallas Mavericks are not very good. And now the Los Angeles Lakers are much better, which a bunch of people were going with the conspiracy theory like, oh, the Lakers always have to be good because of TV markets and blah, blah, blah. And LeBron James is getting old. Who cares? Don't care about the Lakers. Shove them to the side. Everybody started turning their attention to the Dallas Mavericks. And why would they trade a guy with 3 years left on his contract in the prime of his career? You just don't do that. You just don't do it. Now, management was like, oh, we did it because of defense and all that. Doesn't matter. You don't trade your best player in a generation, a fan favorite, you know, the guy who took you to the Western Conference Finals and then the NBA Finals. You just don't do it. Even myself, if I was the general manager, you know, you just don't trade that guy. If your defense sucks, you figure out you get better defensive players around him and you kind of hide them. You don't trade them. It's just stupid. But there's a reason. So the owner of the Dallas Mavericks used to be Mark Cuban, but then he sold it to a group that is in the casino business, right? The casino business. Texas does not have gambling in the state. It doesn't. You can't bet on stuff in the state of Texas. There's no gambling. The closest casino we have is Choctaw in Oklahoma, and then if you're out west, there's some in Nevada, in New Mexico. But there's nothing in the state of Texas. Now, the guy and gal who own the Dallas Mavericks have been trying to get a complex. They want a new stadium, they want a new arena, and they want to build a casino on it because that's the thing, multi-development projects. They want an NBA arena, then they want a casino, and they want a hotel. They want a whole experience. A lot of other places to do this. Oklahoma is about to build the largest skyscraper in the U.S. and attach it to their NBA arena. It's absolutely nuts. Look it up. They're going to build this like monumentally, stupidly tall skyscraper. And then they're going to put the Oklahoma City Thunder in at the bottom of it with some retail stuff like that. And so the Mavericks want to do this. They want to do this too. No sports gambling in the state of Texas. So the Mavericks have two options. And they have been paying lobbyists at the Texas House or the Texas at the Congress down in Austin. They've been trying to do this for a while. They've been paying lobbyists to try and get the Texas House and the Texas Senate to pass gambling resolution, resolutions making gambling. It's not going anywhere. One of the few things that the Texas, Texas government is doing right, and that's not a lot of things, is preventing this from happening. So the Dallas Mavericks ownership, this is all theory. The Dallas Maverick ownership said, all right, we're going to trade our best player and we're going to suck. We're going to be terrible. Why would you do that? Why would you throw that away? Because if you have low attendance, this is the key. If you have low attendance for a couple years in a row, you can petition the board of governors of the NBA. Hey, man, we don't have the support of the fan base anymore. Our arena is not very good. We would like to move. And if your team's good, the board of governors says, shut up and deal with it. But if you are not very good, all of a sudden they say, oh, that's not a bad idea. Let's look around. Oh, Las Vegas wants an NBA team because they have a football team and a baseball team. Now they want an NBA team. They have a hockey team. And everybody wants to move to Vegas, apparently. So this is the idea that they are trying to tank for one of two reasons: to get out, to go to Vegas, or to convince the Texas legislature, hey, you need to pass this or we're going to leave. Ironically enough, late last week, Governor Greg Abbott came out and said he supports sports betting in Texas now. Governor Abbott has never supported gambling in Texas. All of a sudden, after the Luka trade, now he does. Interesting. Second thing that's unfolding, the Maverick fan base is in an absolute state of revolt. Primetime Alex Stein had a video in front of the Dallas City Council meeting about the Mavericks trade. I'm sure it's hysterical. And the Mavericks fan base was actually offered, because this trade was so bad, season ticket refunds. They were offered season ticket refunds. And so this first article, Maverick fan who snuck in a Fire Nico sign gets booted. Things are not going great for the Dallas Mavericks. The Luka Doncic trade was already a disaster with Anthony Davis getting injured. And now on a night with blah, 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 there was a revolt in the Mavs arena. When the team decided to show fans on the Jumbotron, a fan mouthed Fire Nico, which is the GM, Nico Harris, who's now getting death threats, by the way. That same fan brought a Fire Nico sign with a fellow diehard, and then they were promptly removed from the arena, which is kind of weird because people have signs all the time in these arenas, and that's not really something to be removed. Maybe you get rid of it, and so forth. But ESPN reports multiple fans were removed from the game, but here's the moment along with signs, blah, blah, blah. It's not going well. And then Kevin O'Connor, who covers the NBA, says it's actually sad to see the Mavericks organization crumble, ejecting passionate fans last night. Jason Kidd is refusing to speak post-game. No medical update on Anthony Davis, the injured player you just acquired for your 25-year-old face of the franchise. Dirk Nowitzki flies all the way out to LA to watch Luka Doncic his debut. And things are not going well right now in Dallas. Why are they doing this? The consensus is this. There's now Nico Harris is like, oh, we did it because we want to be on defense and we really like Anthony Davis and we think, and everybody's like, shut up. That's not the reason why you want to do it. The reason you're doing this is because the ownership wants you guys to be terrible so they can get one of two things: gambling in the state of Texas, so they can build on, if you know Dallas, it's actually in Irving, ironically enough. Right outside the city of Dallas, there was where the old Dallas Cowboys played. They had their old stadium. They demolished it. Now it's just an empty lot. The owners of the Dallas Mavericks own that plot of land, and it's prime real estate. It's off all the highways. They want to build on that. They're not going to build on that unless they get the okay that they're going to be able to put a casino in there. That's what they want. They want to be able to put a casino in this place. Until they get the okay from the Texas legislature, they're not going to do it. So the more the Mavericks are terrible and the more that the fan base revolts and the more all of these things are happening, the better the case the ownership has that they can go to the board of governors, maybe not this year, maybe even not next year. What's it, 2025? In 2028, because they play the long game, they can go to them in 2028 and say, hey, fan base is not supporting the team. We need to move. And then the ownership will say, you know what? You're right. You guys can get out of there. Yeah, it's right next to University of Dallas too. It's very close to the University of Dallas up there. And my wife and I actually attended mass at that nunnery. There's a very, very small chapel that they have Sunday mass in, and I was able to go there. Ironically enough, Steve Cunningham's brother did the mass, Father Cunningham. So that's what's going on. So we're going to see what happens, but it's getting more and more interesting. with this Dallas Mavericks idea, because everybody was like, oh, it's a bad trade and Nico Harris is an idiot. It's like, maybe it's not Nico Harris. Maybe it's the actual ownership that's pushing for this. So we'll see what happens there. All right, folks, that's it for this episode of RickCast. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with me. Please do me a favor. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. I know I'm saying that. I know I sound like every other shill, but the more you hit the like button, the more that the algorithm hits it. Same thing on Rumble. Please hit that like button so that way I can get more in the algorithm. The people watching on X, hit the follow button, hit the retweet button, and that will help get it to a larger sample size. Maybe next show I'll show you my dog because she's about to snore. I got to get out of here. When she falls asleep, she starts snoring. It's terrible. But I will be here tomorrow night, and we will talk about more random stuff that happens across the internet. And yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I will talk to you all later. God bless. And until that day comes, free Dexter Taylor.